All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're all here today, or you all are here today to learn more about quality assurance. And today we're going to talk about caregiver surveys, quality self-assessments, monthly attendance reports, and we really encourage you to ask as many questions, anything that's on your mind about this, share ideas and tips with other facilitators or people that are submitting these reports. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started.
So, hi, this is Yvette. I want to talk a little bit about why do we do the quality assurance, and there are a few good reasons. And the first, of course, is that this is in the agreement of your organization with Kaleidoscope, and this is one of the requirements. Other than that, the other reason why it's very important for us and for the community is that the surveys it gives us some input about the impact that we have on the community and if we are actually serving the communities that we would like to serve, and if we are achieving our goals in this program. Another reason is for us to know how we are doing with this program and what should we change or do better or replace in this program to achieve the goals and to have the outcomes that we're aiming to. Another reason is that the survey or the summary of the surveys that you're getting at the end of the year, or actually around January, at the beginning of the year, summarizing the surveys. This is a very important tool for us in CCR and also for your organization. It's kind of an evidence to what you are working on and what this program is doing and the impact. And you can use this tool when you're doing your fundraising or you're writing a grant, trying to fundraise for this program or any other program you're doing.
Thank you, Ziggy. So the next section we're going to talk about are caregiver surveys. So caregiver surveys are a requirement that is to be implemented once a year. And here we have the survey process overview in table form. So next month, we will release the 2020 caregiver surveys along with a script that you can use when you implement them in your group, all of the translated versions, as well as instructions and the cover sheet that is to be submitted with the surveys. We ask that you familiarize yourself with these materials next month when we release them via email. And then in April and May, choose a 2-week period that you want to implement the survey. We suggest a 2-week period time frame so that caregivers that are not there the first week can fill out the second week. So we do that to capture that second wave of people. And then after you've implemented the surveys during that 2-week time period in either April or May, we ask that you submit them to us by June 30th, 2020. Most email the surveys, which is great. Some prefer to mail them via post office, which is fine too. And then what happens to those surveys is that they get processed, and we will work with ORS Impact, a consulting group that helps us make a report, and that will be released in January 2021. Individual reports will also be given to groups, as well as, depending on where you're located, raw data for you to use within your organization as well. And if you are an out-of-state affiliate, please know that per your affiliate agreement, there is flexibility on when you submit your caregiver surveys, and we ask you to defer to your affiliate agreement for those specific details. Everyone on here is either local or in-state or out-of-state, so we all have different requirements. All right. So how and when to collect the survey? So as I said, it's a 2-week period in either April or May. And we suggest that you kind of get your group ready and let them know that these surveys are coming up so that they know that they will be filling them out soon for those 2 weeks. Each group does it a little bit differently in how they implement the surveys. So while it's a requirement that you offer the surveys for the participants, it is not a requirement that they have to fill it out, or if they do fill it out, that they have to fill it out completely. They are welcome to fill out as much as they would like and as much as they're comfortable with. Some groups have a more structured implementation of the surveys where they offer it to the whole group all at one time, maybe after circle time or before cleanup, or at the end of group or at the beginning of group. Some folks just have something like an extra table out that day with the surveys where caregivers can go and they have a moment to fill it out. Some put it by the sign-in sheet and a stack and refer to it throughout the group. So really do what is best for your group. Some also bring an extra staff those 2 weeks for extra support so that the facilitator can focus on facilitating the group and the extra staff can help support implementing the surveys. That might be more helpful, especially if some of your participants need oral interpretation. And if you're using that, please remember to indicate that on the survey at the bottom. There's a place where you can circle whether or not interpretation is used. You also need to think about extra supplies that you'll need. You need to print out the forms, extra pens and whatnot. And then also, we will show you this later on, there is a picture of the report, the ORS impact report, that we ask you to bring to your group so that there's transparency with the caregivers. We like them to see what happens with the data that we collect. And it's great that they can see the actual report that's made and that is shown to funders so that the program can keep running. All right. So in relation to actually filling out the form, so again, we encourage you to use the script that we send out. You can adapt it as needed. We also would like to emphasize that we really encourage you to talk about how this survey is not an evaluation of the specific facilitator, but more of an evaluation of the program in general, how participants benefit, and how the program can be improved. I think sometimes there's a little bit of confusion in that area, and we want to make sure that it's clear that this is not the caregivers evaluating this, the facilitator specifically, but in general, how the program has helped them. And as always, as the caregivers are filling the surveys out, we ask that you're available to answer questions and help go through the survey as needed when they're completing them. And also know that this is completely anonymous. They do not need to write their names anywhere on the survey. We do not collect any information that would tie them to the exact survey that they filled out. And we want to make sure that people feel comfortable completing them anonymously. So once you complete the surveys and you submit them to us by June 30th, please do remember to fill out the cover sheet and attach that to that bundle of surveys you submit. We really appreciate that. That helps us process the information accordingly. And what happens after that is that there is some data entry on our end. We will process information, or as Impact will do an analysis of the data, and they will produce a lovely report, which we will distribute in January 2021. And we have a photo of that report right here. This is our front page of the report for Washington. That's what it looks like. That's what the funders see when we give it to them. Also, we want to also clarify that every year we make some slight adjustments to the surveys. And so we really want to make sure that when you implement the surveys that you're using the current version. So for this year, just be sure that the surveys you're handing out say 2020 on them. It will be noted on the survey. The surveys are also available in English, Chinese, Somali, Spanish, and Vietnamese. And all those versions will be mailed out with the English version next month. This is what this survey looks like. This is from last year, so it says 2019, but the one that you will all be receiving next month will say 2020. most of you have seen this. So if you're new, this is what the survey looks like. And most of the questions are check boxes. There are a couple of questions on the back that are more open-ended where caregivers can write some thoughts and comments related to KPL. And just to slowly start wrapping up on why we do these surveys, in addition to what Savit was talking about earlier, it's really a great way to collect information from participants to get their feedback and to use this data for funders. This information really helps us tell the story of KPL much better and helps us advocate to keep the program going. It's also a great way for you all to collect information and brag about the results. What we learn from the survey is usually really wonderful about how the program is impacting the families. And that's something that we want to talk about and be proud of. And so just moving forward right now, please choose your 2-week period, kind of have that on your radar. And once we release the information next month with the surveys and the instructions, familiarize yourself with that material. And if you have any questions or comments related to this process, please email us during this time frame. And if you have questions right now, please let us know. You can type in the chat box if you would prefer, or you could unmute yourself and ask us a question. All right, well, if there aren't any questions, Nicole is going to continue with quality self-assessment.
Okay, we're going to talk about quality self-assessments. Quality self-assessments is a tool that was developed to ensure the quality of the KPL groups, but also an opportunity to give the facilitator and their coordinator, supervisor, a chance to sit together and kind of talk about things that are going really well and maybe some areas for growth or some goals. It uses a standard form. Everyone will use the same form. It is a requirement yearly. And we have the information that we send out is the form, but also there's a one sheet on instructions on how to complete the form. It really just provides a time for reflection on how your program's going. If there's something that you're really proud of, that's something that you can put in there. If there's areas that you feel that you need more support in or would like to grow a little bit more, or just general goals, that would be something else that would be added in. The form looks like this, and there's also two other sheets, 2 other pages that where there's an opportunity to add your goals or things that you would like to work on. How you would do your quality self-assessment is, so it's done many different ways. So we really encourage a facilitator to do it with their coordinator or supervisor. So they would come in and observe group time or a time in your group, and then sit down and just kind of talk with you about your group, things that you want to discuss about it, things that might be going really well, or maybe you want to make adjustments on, some improvements. After you sit down together, you kind of make a plan for improvements or adjustments, and then your supervisor would check in with you to see how that's going. Those are submitted typically the end of the year, but again, I know that we're talking to out-of-state folks, so please look at your affiliate agreement so you know when they're due. When to complete, so once a year for each facilitator. If a facilitator facilitates multiple groups, you do not need to send multiple QSAs. You can just submit one for all your groups. Each facilitator will send us a QSA, and it's going on now through December 31st, 2020. Why do we do quality self-assessments? Just to give a chance to notice what's going well in your group. Also helps you build upon what's going well and what you can do to make it a better experience for caregivers and families. Also can let funders know and staff members know that you regularly evaluate the program and make adjustments. Are there any questions about QSAs? Feel free to type in the chat, or if you'd like to unmute yourself, or any comments about QSAs. All right, we're gonna give the mic to Zainab and talk about monthly attendance reports.
Okay, everyone, we're going to talk about attendance reports and how to track it. So for the attendance, why we use them is to track information of people participating in your group. It helps with understanding the impact of our program and with our evaluations. The way we track them is we use unduplicated numbers, and that means that we count each person who attends the group once per month. So for example, if someone goes to your group every week for that entire month, you would only count them once for the monthly report. And so the different categories in the report that we do are FFN, which is short for family, friend, and neighbor. So that is anyone other than a parent bringing the child. So grandma, grandpa, cousin, uncle, aunt, anyone who's a family or a friend or a neighbor. The exceptions are licensed providers or therapists accompanying that family, or a group speaker that may be visiting that group that day. Another category is the parents. So this is anyone who identifies as the child's father or mother. And the both category, which is anyone who is bringing their own child and someone else's. And children, and that is a child who's from birth to 5 to 6 years old. And the last one is just any group schedule information that you want to let us know about, like location-wise or time-wise, that is different. This is an example of the monthly attendance report and how it looks like. So you can see you have the month, organization name, facilitator's name, location of group, and contact person in the different categories of that I mentioned. And you can see the two rows, new and returning. So this is anyone who is new attending that month, and returning is anyone who is returning to that group. And this slide is an example of the Signin Sheet. You can see how it looks like. This is an example sheet that we provide. You can always use another one that you prefer. So you could just see how, when someone attends the group, how they would fill it out. So first category would be the name of the adult and children. The second column, which is their first time attending or not attending, they're not new. Other column would be if they're a child, and then the column after that would be if they're no parents or an FFN member. And the other category would be if anyone who is not a parent or not an FFN, or a child who is 7 years or older, which can happen in the summer when siblings do come with their families. And here we have an example of a monthly report in color. It is color coded, and we provide these. They should be in the files that came with the flash drive. Your organization should have it. If you don't have it, you can let us know. So it's color-coded according to each category that I mentioned, and it coordinates with the Signin Sheet. So each color coordinates together. So we provide the monthly report and Signin Sheet in color codes so that it's easier to fill out. And here is an example of both sheets together. So as you can see, when you're tracking your attendance with the Signing Sheet and you're putting it into the monthly report, you would want to just use the ones that are highlighted in color. So we don't need the names of the participants or the specific dates. We would just need that month that the report is coming from. And so for the first purple column would be where you would indicate if they're new or returning. For the blue, it would be the children. The yellow, parents. And green is FFN. And for the both category would be both parent and FFN. And the red would be any other participants that have arrived in that group. So if you guys have any questions, please let us know. Send in the chat or you can unmute yourselves. Any confusion with the attendance?
And I'll just
Yeah.
add, because this is probably the biggest area of confusion, is that Sam talked about the both column, that's both yellow and green. That is not adding up the yellow and green columns. That column is used for participants who identify as a parent and a family friend and a great caregiver. So for example, a dad that brings his daughter and he brings his nephew as well, for example. And he would go in that yellow and green column for both, just to clarify that.
Thanks, Eva.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that wraps up the 3 areas of quality assurance we want to talk about today. So that's caregiver surveys, quality self-assessments, and the attendance. Thank you for joining us today. And again, we apologize about the technical difficulties that we experienced earlier, and we hope that you found this useful. If you have any questions moving forward, please feel free to reach out to us. As you're doing the quality self-assessments and your monthly attendance and the surveys coming up, we're here to support. Our information is right here, our email addresses, our phone numbers, and today we will email out these slides with all the info as well. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.